Throughout this course, we've been using action hooks. There is another type of hook called filter hooks. Filter hooks are similar to action hooks except for one thing. They are passed a value and you're expected to return a value. In most cases, it's a modified version of the passed-in value. We're going to be using our first filter hook, so get ready. Let's view the recipe post on the front end. You may receive this 404 error. Initially, you may think this is strange, and it is. We did everything right, so why are we getting a 404 error? Well, WordPress is not aware that we have updated the permalink structure. What I mean by this is that when you create a post type, you will receive a special URL format for your post type. In our case, it would be recipe followed by the slug of the post. Take a look at the URL bar to see this new format. There are two ways we can fix this. There is the manual way, which is updating the permalink structure, and then there is the developer way by flushing the rewrite rules. I will be doing this the first way because it'll be a lot faster to do so. I will definitely show you how to flush rules through PHP, but that deserves a lecture of its own. For now, updating the structure will suffice. Go to the admin dashboard and under Settings Permalinks, just update the settings once. You don't need to make any changes. Now you can go to the recipe post and everything should display just fine. As you can see, the post is displaying just like any other post. The only thing missing is the recipe data. Go back to the main plugin file so we can begin this process. There are a couple ways we can go about this. The recommended way is by using a filter hook. Filter hooks can be used by using the add filter function. This function works exactly the same as the add action function. For our post, I want to add the recipe data right above the content. So I want to use a hook called the content. This hook is triggered when the content of a post or page is being displayed. The name of the function I want to run is called rFilterRecipeContent. Let's create a file inside the process folder called filter-content.php and define the function here. Make sure to include it from the plugin file. Unlike action hooks, filter hooks will always pass in something for you to filter. The content hook will be passed in the contents of the post. We'll call this argument content. Inside the function, you should always return the content. Let's see what happens if you don't return anything. Refresh the post and you'll see the content disappears. Let's return the content from the post. If you go back to the page, then you should see the content reappear. This function will apply to all post types. We need to make sure this only applies to recipes. We also need to check if this is a single post and not an excerpt. We're going to check both cases by using one function called isSingular. This function will check if this is a single post. We can also pass this function a post type. The post type we want to check is for recipe. If this function returns false, then we'll just return the content. Otherwise, we'll continue on with filtering the post. Let's create the HTML that will be used to display the recipe data. Create a file inside the process folder called recipe-template.php. Inside the assets/extras folder, you'll find a file named recipe-template.php. Copy and paste everything here to our PHP template. This is just regular HTML. We have an unordered list. There's one thing you'll notice though. We have all these capitalized words such as rate_I18N. These are placeholders. You don't have to name them like this, but I like to make them all caps so that they're easier to identify. We're going to grab this file and its contents and replace the placeholders with our data. First things first, let's grab the template. From within the filter function, I'm going to create a variable named recipe.html. I'll assign it to the value returned by the function fileGetContents. The file I want to get is the template recipe-template.php. I'm also going to set the second parameter to true. This will make the function work just like the include function. To check if this is working, I'm going to return the recipe HTML variable and concatenate the content. Let's refresh the page and you should now see the template right before the content. Now all we have to do is replace these placeholders with the recipe data. First, we have to grab the metadata. Just like last time, we can use the getPostMeta function. However, first we need the post ID. Luckily for us, WordPress will create a variable named post. This variable is a global variable. Now we have access to all this post's properties. Let's create the recipe data variable and grab the metadata like so. From here, we can use a function called strReplace. We're basically going to use this function to replace the text within the template. The first parameter is the name of the string we want to replace. In this case, we want to replace the rating placeholder with the text rating. Make sure that the string is translation ready. The third parameter is a string that will be searched, which is the recipe HTML variable. It's as simple as that. You should now have something similar to what I have. Let's refresh the page and you'll now see our data. This is the power of filter hooks. They're similar to action hooks, except you will receive data to filter and be expected to return that filtered data. We kept it simple by just translating the text. We'll be adding the rating itself soon enough. Before I end this lecture, I want to talk about what this I-18N phrase you see here means. I-18N simply means internationalization. The name comes from the first and last letters of internationalization, with 18 being the number of letters between these two letters. To reiterate what's going on, all I'm doing is grabbing the recipe data and the HTML template. The HTML template is pretty basic. It just contains placeholders for our data. This makes it so that it's always dynamic and fresh. Then we just replace the placeholders with the data using the function strReplace. Then we just return the template with the modified data right before the content.